am going to say that we're live for the Tuesday Awesemo.com golf show. You know the drill. It's swing season. Myself, Ben Razza, here with Fantasy Golf Man. Going to Vegas. We got Shriners. You look clean. You're looking pretty good up there. Clean shaven. You're ready to roll here.
Yeah, I had to do something, man. It's been a bad run, so I thought maybe just shave the goatee, cut the hair, give the hair a little bit of a trim. Maybe it'll bring on some better luck or something. I don't know.
Okay, I'm
Maybe
following
just
suit.
stop playing Grillo. One of the two things might change my luck.
Well, you did one. Yeah, that's a fair point. We're gonna get there. I'm also gonna be following suit. Maybe change the look good, feel good style. Pretty good field though. I mean, this is actually for the swing season. I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, I was really surprised at this. This is a good field. This is a legitimate like regular season field. And normally this isn't a very strong field. I don't know if just kind of a change in schedule has kind of switched some things around for these guys. But yeah, this is a legit field that you'd see during the regular season. So yeah, I like it. It's there's going to be a lot of birdies. We know this course. So yeah, it's going to be a fun week.
It is. We're going to dive into it, but before we do, I do want to say Fantasydraft, our sponsor, the only rake-free daily site. They run some massive tournaments in the NFL. They've got the other sports, of course, and it's just rake-free. So they're paying out 100% of entry fees. You can sign up at fantasydraft.com with the referral code AWESEMO, and you get a 7-day free trial. So go check that out. Ship My Money, who you all know, just banked 100K over there. He can attest to good things happening. So hopefully one of us will do that with the Shriners. Here we go. Yeah, you mentioned it. TPC Summerlin. This is one. There should be no secrets about this course. We have a decade of history to rely on. What do you make of it out in the desert?
Yeah, like you said, desert course, 7,250 yard par 71. You know, one of the easiest courses on tour year in and year out. Last year, the winning score was 21 under. We had one year, 2018, where the wind was up and minus 9-1. But besides that, you know, we're looking at 21 under, 20 under. You know, back in 2014, 2012, I got all the way to 24 under. So just a legit birdie fest. Bent grass greens, you know, not a tough course. I don't think a ton of length is required here. You know, if you look back at some of the winners, the last few years, we've had really good winners, Bryson and Cantlay. But if you go a little bit farther back, I mean, you find guys like Ben Martin, Webb Simpson, Ryan Moore, Kevin Na. So quite a few short hitters doing some damage here. And I think, yeah, I mean, it's just reminds me a little bit of John Deere. You know, there's a lot of birdies. It's bent grass greens, par 71. But like not a lot of trouble off the tee. So you would think that would favor the Bombers, but it just seems like a place where the short hitters really kind of get it going, you know? And I mean, this isn't a big test off the tee. Not like you have to hit the fairway because there's a ton of trouble. But I just think that the guys that do hit the fairway and the accuracy guys just seem to have a little bit of an advantage here. So yeah, a little bit of John Deere classic to me in this event.
So that's why the 5 condom Zach Johnson play is coming to fruition. It
Yes.
all ties together. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, this is a course I think we know you're going to be able to attack. It's a little elevated. It's not going to play long. You can get away with pulling driver in spots that you can get to these par fives no matter who you are, and most of them for sure. Big greens, bent grass, you're going to need to make putts. 2018, if you're looking at course history, just keep in mind, you know, I don't want to say it's an anomaly, but the scoring was just way different because the wind really dictated play. And we saw that you just mentioned at not -9, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Yeah, it was like, you know, 10, 12 strokes tougher than any other year, basically.
Yeah. So just make sure you're aware of that. I'm not saying throw it out altogether, but it is what it is. Yeah, we're in Vegas. There's a lot of golfers who do live in Vegas. I don't know if people will be getting, I mean, I'm assuming people do a little gambling on the side when they're down there. What do
Yeah,
you
you
think?
have to, right?
Yeah, right. So like Brooks late night running amok in these casinos
Oh,
with his
yeah,
brother.
Brooks at the craps table, 100%, you know. What could go wrong there, huh?
Yeah, that sounds like a dangerous game, but he does kick off the pricing. You know, and that's not a surprise. He's in the rankings, at least the best golfer in the world. But we got him, we got Cantlay, we got Bryson, Webb, and Adam Scott. Those kind of, you know, we always group them in terms of that top tier. I think most people are not going to play Brooks in the sense, not, I mean, obviously it's not going to be overwhelmingly popular. But even when you look against individuals up here, I think he's not the preferred choice. Cantlay, I think, would be the obvious choice just based on the ridiculous minor course history through 2 years.
Yeah, this is tough. I mean, this is really a week where you can make a case for a lot of guys at the top, but I don't really see a super strong case for anyone at the top. Cantlay, oh God, that second and first course history, it makes me want to puke if I play Cantlay, because I just know you're getting, he's overpriced, he's going to be over-owned. He does seem like a really good play. Obviously, more consistent than Brooks. We don't know what to expect out of Brooks. And Cantlay was sneaky good last week. He was T40, but it was really the short game that let him down. So the ball striking was really good, and I like that about Cantlay. But I just feel with a first and a second in 2 years here, I just think he's going to be over-owned. I think the price is a little elevated due to that course history. I'm not saying I'm not going to play him, but it just feels uncomfortable. I hate paying that course history tax that you're going to have to pay with him this week. But Brooks, it's like, who knows what you're going to get out of him? I mean, we've seen it time and time again in these lesser events where he just doesn't show up. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to see him caring about this event. And he's basically come out and said that he doesn't practice for these crappy events. So, and especially it being the first event of the year, God only knows what he's been doing for the past 4 weeks.
That's what I'm saying.
He can come out and shoot a pair of 80s, and I would not be surprised.
No, that's the thing. I know it's one, but Bryson and Cantlay, and I mean Scott too, but we've seen them, and I do think that matters a little bit. It's not like Brooks can't come out and turn it on, but man, there's more risk of ruin in my opinion. Not to mention you're paying a very lofty price for a guy that has been somewhat vocal. He is not going to be. I guarantee if he comes out and misses the cut here, he's not going to lose any sleep. That I can confirm. But Cantlay, it's one of these situations. I actually wish his course history was worse because I love his game to this course. I wouldn't be concerned at all if he hadn't played great. It's just the ownership that's going to come with him is going to be massive. I'm still going to be using him, of course, in spots. But if you take him out, what are the other four would you go to? Would it be Bryson right below him? Would you try to buy low on Scott, even though he can't drive the ball suddenly?
I would probably go to Webb, to be honest with you. It's tough. And then this is some of the things that we're going to have to deal with this week, is because now we're getting a mix of guys we haven't seen since the Tour Championship. We're mixing that in with maybe guys we've seen one time in 3 weeks, so it's hard to take a lot out of that. We've seen some of these guys 3 times, so we feel like we have a good feel. So, kind of a lot of unknowns. I would go to Webb. I like the course fit for Webb. Super consistent. Bryson T13 last week, I think a lot of people are going to jump on him, especially with a first and a seventh here the last 2 years. But really, he wasn't phenomenal. I mean, gained 2.5 with the ball striking, which is okay, but not great. I feel like the T13, maybe he somewhat overachieved. I think that's also going to bring some ownership. People are going to think he's back. So I would go to Webb just because I really like the course fit for him. We already talked about kind of more of a short hitter's track. I think this place is right up his alley. But I don't love him. I honestly it's tough at the top. I mean, all the things we said about Brooks that make him a bad play, and I hate to say this because it sounds like you're hedging, but it also probably makes him an elite tournament play too.
So, I mean, Brooks, I want to be clear, and that's something tomorrow night we're going to get into. If Brooks is in a ownership level that is so much different than these other guys, I have no choice but to at least consider going to him. When you're talking about top-end talent, it's a given. It doesn't serve anyone by us saying, well, if Brooks plays well, he could do, everybody knows that. So we just have to weigh what we can weigh. We all know that under the right circumstances, Brooks is the best player in this field. So we'll see. I thought you might say Bryson because you did mention John Deere, and Bryson has won John Deere. We've seen him go low in the Birdie Fest before. The guy, I don't know. He's slowly trending, I guess, but at the same time, still not what you really have wanted to see. He almost won 3M, but after that, it wasn't a good stretch of golf from him once again.
Yeah, it's tough. I don't love Bryson. I mean, obviously he played better last week than we've seen him in the last couple events of last year, kind of after the Open Championship. But, the T13, the ball striking just wasn't that great. I mean, It was okay. I think he pretty much got everything he could out of that. And I don't know. Like, I mean, I'm. This is tough at the top. It's really tough. I mean, you can make a kind of a minor case for all these guys, but there's not one overwhelmingly good play to me. Cantlay is the play, but I just hate the fact that he's going to be so owned this week.
That's the thing. It lines up pretty in terms of my favorite plays, and then in terms of the ownership. I think they're going to be in line, and that's where it gets difficult. Like if you like the guy who's least popular, it's a pretty easy decision. I like Cantlay. Most people do as well. I'm gonna have to figure something out. I will say that, and I guess I can just ask you: do you plan to start lineups without any of them? Because when I look at the next range, I think there's plenty of players that I'm comfortable having as my top man in a lineup.
Yeah, I haven't really thought about it. I think there's a lot of good value. This is what's also another thing. I feel like there's a lot of good value guys. There's a
Mhm.
lot of guys in like the upper 6 to mid 7 range that I like. And then when you start jamming those guys in, it's almost forcing you to play some of these expensive guys. So yeah, roster construction's tough. But yeah, I'm with you as well. 9K range seems stacked. We have Finau, who played over in Europe the last 2 weeks, 10th at the Alfred Dunhill Links Championship, 51st at the BMW PGA. We have Decky. This seems like a heck of a buy low spot for him at 9,700. The price isn't that cheap, but it's one missed cut. He ended the year very well. Last two events of the regular season, Tour Championship and I think the BMW. Missed the cut last week. It is what it is. I mean, we're not going to overreact to one missed cut, but I think if this is a spot where no one's going to be on him, I wouldn't mind going right back to Decky this week.
I like Finau. It's a guy that for some reason I guess he likes this spot. He plays here every single year. Hasn't putted at this course historically, which is not surprising. I mean, it's Finau, but he has made the cut every time. He had a seventh going back a few years. I just think he can be aggressive. I don't love that he's traveling. You mentioned he was in Europe, but it's Finau. He's that good. So I don't mind that. Decky's a little more difficult for me to really break down because I just don't know. I was talking with Pat Mayo yesterday on his show, and we were talking about that. It's been a long while now for Decky in terms of winning. That guy is long overdue. Not that Finau isn't. Both of them really need to start racking a couple up here because not that the Shriners is the spot to do it, but man, I am interested to see if the Safeway is more just an anomaly, a slow start, or if Decky's really going to be struggling right out of the gate.
What about the desert narrative? He's got such a
Mm,
great record at the
waste
waste management.
management.
We could
Yeah.
go for that.
Okay. All desert team. Let's see what we can muster of that. Your boy Morikawa is right there, who is just good.
Yeah.
Props to you, Cameron Champ, on this show. Fantasy golf man taking it down with Cameron Champ. You even got me on a little. You convinced me just to have a slab, and not that that did anything because I played Grillo. Still, very nice for your boy. He is so impressive off the tee. I know everyone knows that, but it's unbelievable.
Yeah, I think one of the other things when you think about off the tee, I was always getting so enamored with approach game, but honestly, what it doesn't really matter if you're gaining 4 strokes in one facet of the game. You're gaining 4 strokes, whether it's approach off the tee around the green. And the one thing about off the tee is that's the most, in my opinion, the most consistent, the one that's the most reliable.
Of course.
The putting, we know that's high variance. That's even great putters have awful putting weeks. Around the green, you don't really want guys relying on that because if you're gaining a lot of strokes around the green, you're obviously not hitting a lot of greens. An approach game, that kind of comes and goes too. But for the elite off the tee game, guys, it's like the range of outcomes is very narrow. They're not going to have very many weeks, if any weeks, where they're completely terrible off the tee. They might not be as good, but it's like they're gaining 1 to 4 strokes rather than losing 5 or 6 strokes like we'll see putting or on approach. So, I mean, yeah, he's so good. It's just something. It's like you can pencil him in for 4 or 5 strokes off the tee, and that's such an advantage.
It really, yeah. So a couple things there. In my opinion, I believe this is borderline confirmed. The further away you are from the hole, the less variance. Driving someone like Rom, he basically never loses ever off the tee. Even when he's bad off the tee, he still gains. Whereas putting, even the best putters, they're going to have a couple tournaments during the year where they lose a couple strokes putting. That just doesn't happen to the elite drivers. And Champ, we touched upon this last week, and you were saying you look at his iron stats and they're not great, but keep in mind where those shots are coming from. He does so much of the work with the driver that even when his iron shots for strokes gained aren't good, he's giving himself looks just because of how easy the shot is relative to everyone else.
Yeah, it's like I just we have to start looking at it as like a total body of work rather than
Mhm.
like, oh, the irons are so terrible or whatever. I mean, hey, the strokes are being gained somewhere. I mean, granted, he was on a bad run, but
Well, it comes and goes with him just because there are certain courses where that's not enough. But in some of these places, he can take a course apart. Now, it's worth noting the rest of his game last week, and this is why he won, was very solid. He gained a couple strokes putting, a couple strokes around the green, and the irons were better. Uh, but when you're gaining 7 strokes off the tee, you're going to have a lot of chances to just be average across the board and possibly win the tournament.
yes, we're not playing him this week though. I don't. I have
No.
9,300.
What about Neiman? Uh, yeah,
I like Neiman. I mean, the consistency out of him that he's shown from the second half of the year, even through this year, he won at the Greenbrier, and then he was T54 at Sanderson Farms, but he wasn't terrible. The ball striking was still pretty good. And he's another guy. I mean, the off the tee and the approach game, it feels like you can just pencil him in for plus 3, 4, 5, 6 strokes every event. Um, I like it. I like that consistency out of him. I mean, I don't know. He's not one of my favorite plays, but I don't mind him at all at this price because he's just been so good for, I mean, we're going back 12 tournaments now where he's just been above average.
he really has. And bent grass is definitely his preferred surface, from what we can tell. Has excelled there throughout his brief career. So the guy, I'm just looking at this range in general. I don't have a strong take on Woodland. Snedeker, the off the tee game is just terrible. Now he gains 5, 6 strokes putting every week, it seems like. Not really there. Hadwin is Hadwin. He played very well last week. What do we do? So this is my thing. If Benyon either didn't play last week or just played, and came in like 20th, I think a lot of people, he would be up there with Morikawa and Cantlay and Scheffler as some of the most popular plays on this slate. I don't think he's going to be nearly as popular because of how bad he was last week.
Yeah, I agree. People are definitely going to overreact to the 1 week, the missed cut. And I think we see that week in and week out. Guys play well, they're fairly popular, they play poorly, they miss the cut, and then people just jump right off. I don't love him. I think there's a lot, you know, some guys cheaper than him that I like, some guys a little bit more expensive than I like. I don't think I'll be going there, but yeah, the ownership will be low.
So yeah, I'm definitely more into on than you are. Just on a pure, I'm willing to bank on this guy kind of long term, and the ownership was starting to mass up because he was close to winning a couple times. I think that dissipates here in his one Shriners appearance. This is not breaking any news. He gained 5 strokes tee to green and lost a stroke putting. Came in 32nd. So that's what we see from him. Well, the irons haven't been nearly as crisp as we are used to seeing. So maybe there's an overarching problem. I still lean no. Uh, but you mentioned, I assume that you're not backing off Scotty Scheffler at this price, are you?
No, yeah, I like him. I would prefer Fratelli or Scheffler over
Okay.
Benny. I my preference would be Scheffler. Just been so good with the ball striking, and in the 2 events we saw, 16th at Sanderson Farms, 7th at Greenbrier.
Yes.
Couldn't think of it for a second there. And then that's coming off the Corn Ferry Tour Finals where he was 7th, 11th, and first. We know everything about the pedigree. Probably the most highly touted guy coming out of the off the Corn Ferry Tour. I guess you could say that. And yeah, I mean he's been really good. 8,800. I like that, and he's just a guy who I think is probably going to win. Should win an event this year. I mean, one of these weaker fields. I mean, this is his chance. I think in the fall series. I like him. And then your boy Fratelli's been really good. Gained 2.6 with the ball striking last week. Gained 9 shots with the ball striking the week before, 7th and 6th. I like him, but yeah, I'm a little more preferential to Scheffler.
Yeah, both sites, Fantasy Draft and DraftKings, they have these guys kind of in that next tier, and it's very reasonable to work them in as their, a second guy. If you're going very balanced, like it could even be your third guy. Fratelli's a little all over the map, and I think that's a somewhat of a good thing in the sense that he possesses multiple. I mean, he could kill you in multiple ways, but he gained 11 strokes with the approach a couple weeks ago. Then he got a hot putter. He's traditionally good off the tee. The game rarely lines up, but at the same time, that kind of risk reward can serve you well. Whereas Scheffler, I mean, what's there to really say? Until something changes, I don't know how you don't look to him. You just have to weigh the ownership because the guy is gaining a ton of strokes. He hasn't putted much, and at this price, he has a little more room to kind of wiggle around. You don't need him to win per se. Whereas, we saw him; he was getting up there because it was a weaker field. So now he's priced down a bit, adds to the appeal even more and the flexibility of your roster construction.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like him at this price in a stronger field than we saw at Sanderson Farms, where I think he was, what was he, 9,900?
He was up there.
Um, yeah, and I mean he's got the game to contend and compete, so I'm not really worried about that. This isn't, this isn't the Players Championship. It's a stronger field, but it's not.
No. Kokrak is in the high eights, so let's not get
Exactly. Just
crazy.
keep that in mind when you're talking about how strong this field is.
Do you like him, by the way, Kokrak?
No, hell no.
Okay.
I mean, he had an all-time ball striking performance in the missed cut at the, where was he? It was at Sanderson Farms, Greenbrier, and then lost like a million strokes putting. So we've only seen 2 rounds of him, but no. I mean, there's so many plays here. I hate playing guys just because you're hoping something happens. It's like you're just fancy play syndrome or something. Yeah, he could be good, but who knows what you're getting out of him. We've seen him for 2 rounds, and the ball striking was great. The putting was terrible. He's not the most consistent cat in the world. This isn't a great price.
Man, you're worse than me. I thought you would at least give a guy something. You're burying him. I don't even have to say anything now. This is good.
I mean, I haven't played Kokrak ever, so
no, neither have I. Him and Ches are guys that, I see some merit, of course, in a field like this. They're still in the upper echelon. There's just too many other guys that we've already mentioned or that I'm about to mention as we kind of work into this mid-range. You have CH3, you have Glover, JT Poston I want to talk about, the Wolf Man, Matthew Wolf, Putnam, Cam Smith, Scott Piercy. That's a whole nother story for another time. Is this a dead range for you? Are you willing to go to some of these guys?
yeah,
Particularly
I don't
Matthew
like any.
Wolf?
Honestly, I don't like anybody after Scheffler
Ooh,
in the 8K range. It's
no
just,
Wolf?
I mean, who knows? It's really hard when you haven't seen guys. His last event was 7 weeks ago. It's hard to know what you're going to get out of him. I wasn't in love with him at the end of last season. I mean, I would put him. I put him behind Morikawa and behind Hovland from a consistency standpoint. I mean, he did get the win, but he was more inconsistent than the other guys. So
Definitely.
yeah, it's hard to know what you're going to get out of him here. And I mean, it's another one like Kokrak. I mean, if you play him, you're just taking a shot in the dark. I mean, there's really no data or anything that you could put behind playing Wolf this week.
So what I'll say to that, the difference in my eyes is this, and again, take this for what it is. I bank on Kokrak. I still, even though he had a great season, we've seen a long term of who he is. There is a chance that we'll look back and we'll be like, wow, can you believe Wolf was ever this price? He might just be that good. We just don't know. So for that reason alone, I think you can, I don't want to say blindly play him, but at least with someone like this, I was sure you would kind of admit the range of outcomes in terms of his career is just wider than some of these guys we've seen for 10, 15 years already.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah, he could be, 5 years from now, he could be a top 5 golfer in the world. I mean, so you're right about that. Definitely more, I don't know what the word is. I don't want to say more upside, more long-term upside than a lot of these guys. I mean, I don't know if Kokrak's ever going to win a PGA Tour event.
That's what I'm saying. Like, to me, Wolf is just a guy, when you look, he's, 8,200 on DraftKings. And I'm willing to say, you know what, there's a non-zero chance, 14,200 on Fantasydraft, there's a non-zero chance that that's one of the more egregious price tags because we look back and say, wow, can you believe it? With Kokrak, that's not going to happen. He could play well, but just Wolf is someone in a field where some of these guys we've only seen once or twice or not at all. I'll take a blind stab with him in some spots. Same with JT Poston. It's a little different situation, but he's just good in my opinion. It's someone that started to click at Wyndham, obviously broke through. Really good at Sanderson Farms, though. What not to like there, just consistent across the board.
He's your boy. You've been
Yeah,
on Austin for a long
I
time.
really have. And then, of course, the week he won, I bet Benny on, and he killed Benny on. Um, so sick. But yeah, he's just a guy who gets it done. Starting to get more consistent. Great putter. I have no problem with him at that price either.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. He's just one of those guys I never get to that much. You've been on him a lot for quite a long time, so too sharp by Ben. But
do you like the next range then with Scott Piercy, Bubba, Brian Harmon types, or do you go?
Once we get past this bum Cameron Smith, who's one of the worst golfers on tour.
Ooh, he is. Cameron Percy has passed him as the best Australian named Cameron.
Cameron, I love that. That guy he's like at the age of 47, Cameron Percy's playing the best golf.
Finally got it together. What do you think about Piercy?
Yeah, this is very, very interesting. So we have Piercy at 7,900. He's a Las Vegas guy. Great course history here. I'm not in love with him. He's a volatile guy. So the approach game is going to come and go, and he can get super hot. And we've seen him good course history here. I don't love him. I think Bubba's intriguing. Like if you're going to take a shot with somebody, I wouldn't mind Bubba. He was okay at the Greenbrier. He was T47. Off the tee was good. And then the rest of the game was kind of not that great. But that's kind of what we expect out of him. I don't love him, but I think if you want to take a shot in the dark, I wouldn't mind him because that's a great price. And this is a birdie fest scoring environment. Drivable par 4. There's going to be a lot of eagles. But the guy I really, really like, and this is a guy that you were on, I don't know if it was last week or 2 weeks ago, but it's Brian Harmon.
Yes, sir. I knew you were going to say that. That's right. Playing great.
I mean, he is playing great. And this is a good price for him, and it's a great course fit for him. 14th at Sanderson Farms. He was 3rd at Greenbrier. And then you talked about prior to that, at the end of last season, a little bit inconsistent with a couple missed cuts, but I mean, what do we have? T14 or better in 5 of his last 9 starts dating back to last year. The ball striking has been great. Sanderson Farms, he gained 8.1. Greenbrier, he gained 5.1. He's a guy, he's won the John Deere. He's a guy that can putt. So this is, when you have to get to 20, 22 under, it's like you're going to need to make some putts. And terrible putters can get hot too and win this event. But he's a guy, if he's sitting it close, he can get hot with the putter. He can make him, and he can win. I love it. He's one of my favorite plays at 7,800.
Yeah, he's a guy that I was able to get on kind of late in the year last year, and I hit the ground running with him at Greenbrier, came in 3rd, 14th at Sanderson Farms, and you just mentioned he's a good putter, kind of a scrappy guy. He can definitely get in the mix here. There's no doubt about it. And yes, got the John Deere connection, so it's hard not to like him at that price. Now, you couldn't go from saying that and then talking about Grillo in the sense of needing to make putts to hang in. At this point, I guess we're going to talk through this together because we have a sickness. At what point do we say, you know what? We can't play this guy anymore because he can't compete when you lose 5 strokes putting every single week.
But I honestly think it's this week, but then that little thing in your head always pops in of like, what happens if this is the week? And it's like, I don't know. Because the ball striking wasn't as crisp last week. I mean, he was positive. I think he gained like 2 strokes or 2 to 3. It was good, but it wasn't like one of those weeks where he was just like literally peppering the flagstick and missed everything. Like
Sanderson Farms, he gained 7.5 strokes and lost 6 putting. Now, last week, you're right, not as crisp.
But still good.
Oh, yeah, still very, very
Did you see how he missed the cut? Were you following him on Friday?
No, I saw he was – because it was a weird course. You had those par 5s kind of loaded at the back of it. Do tell. Please.
Yeah. Okay, so he needed to play the last 4 holes in 2 under. But like you said, 2 of them were par 5s. So it's like he was live to make the cut with just birdie the par 5s. And then so he hits it to 12 foot on a par 3.
Mm-hmm.
And he 3 putts.
Okay, yeah. So that's where I gave up. Yep.
So now he needs to birdie the final 3 holes to make the cut. So he birdies the first par 5. He birdies the par 4, which is the 17th hole. So now he's coming to 18. He needs to make a birdie. And I don't know what he did. He must have hit like a Hazel rocket, but it was like 202 to the other or something.
Okay.
And I was just like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, I don't know what he did. I didn't see it. But
So I lied. I did. So just to tell the same thing you did. On 17 is the short par 4. He hit to like 0 yards. It was just a dart. Tapped in. On the par 5, yeah, he hit it to the dirt outline. He almost didn't reach the fairway. And it was just like, well, he's turned this into, it's not even a 3-shot hole. It's just like a mega long par 4 now for him, like an idiot. The thing I'll say about him is I'm starting to tell myself, listen, this is not a guy when he gets going is ripping off wins. Even when he puts average, you're not get like I'm just looking. He had one top 10 in all of 2019. He came in 9th at Memorial. I just don't know what I'm accomplishing. Starting to fade him, it doesn't feel like you get burned. Even if he does turn it around and turn in a quality performance, it almost feels like he's turning into a cash play more than a tournament upside winning play.
Yeah, and I got the same feeling. I'm just like, I've thought long and hard about this because I freaking play this guy every week. And you're exactly right. It feels like the good weeks are like a T14.
That's what I'm saying.
If that, I mean, yeah, you're right. It's not like, oh, he almost won and then he missed the cut and then he came in 5th. It's like, yeah, his good finishes are not even that good.
There are a few guys that I can live with because I feel like when I get it right, they're going to win the tournament. Grillo doesn't feel like that anymore. It feels like when I get it right, he's going to not kill my lineup. And that's not what you're going for. Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, when I nail it, it's just he comes in 22nd.
And he's not going to be 2% owned either.
No, he's not because people see it. Now, I will say, and I absolutely love him, and this guy's going to be popular. How can you not like Aaron Wise in this spot?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he's
a Vegas
he's played
guy.
very well here. The numbers were good at Sanderson Farm. Yeah, I think I think he's in play. I don't think I've ever played Sebastian Munoz, but he's been damn good.
I bet against Sebastian Munoz last week. Not good. Really impressive.
Like, if you look at the guys through 3 events this year, I mean, he's been, and I know he has a win mixed in there, but I mean, the numbers for all 3 events have been really, really good. I mean, he started off 7th the Greenbrier, won the Sanderson Farms. He was T33 last week, but the ball striking was still really good. I mean, he's gained 3.6, 7.6, or 3.6, 6.9, and 7.6 in the 3 starts. I think he's too cheap. I think, he's also, along with Harmon, I never thought I'd say this, but I mean, I just think 7,400 is too cheap for the way he's playing.
The one thing, and again, this is not a knock, it's more of a interesting tidbit, I guess. His best 2 performances off the tee ever have been in the last 2 weeks. Ever.
He turned it around. He figured something out.
So take that for what it is. He has clearly off the tee. I mean, like I said, these are the best tees ever numbers-wise posted, and we're seeing the results because, I mean, he won Sanderson Farms, and last week he was in the mix. Now, he had a really rough Sunday and fell back, but I believe he was in the final group, and if not, he was in one of the final pairings. So I don't mind him. Bud Cauley is just a little all over the map. I've been trying. He also played better than it may indicate. He had a really rough Sunday. He was up there, did make the cut. Phil is completely dust. He is just done, isn't he?
Phil is like minus 550 to be at the craps table. I mean, the guy will be there like Saturday morning at 3 a.m. I guarantee that.
I'll say this though. Phil is such a big gambler. I actually don't worry about this because this is his normal routine, even when they're not in places with casinos. Like, he's definitely in underground games.
He's like one of those guys. It's like it doesn't even really matter. He's like, really, casinos? Yeah.
Like, so maybe this helps him in the sense other golfers will be out of their whack, and Phil's just doing his normal, like, Mississippi stud games you don't even know, the ones like Pga style. Yeah, he made a quad before I even knew he was on the course last week. But right below him, as we work down to kind of the low sevens, we got 2 Euro guys I want to ask you, and then I'll give you the floor. Tom Lewis is somehow trying to play on both tours at once, and Biergard, who's definitely a good driver of the ball. Any interest in them, or are you going with more known commodities from the PGA side of things?
Yeah, not a lot of interest. Biergard, I mean, they were both good last week. Biergard, T23 at the Dunnell Links. He's kind of been struggling, but we've seen him play and compete in strong and quite a few good fields over here in the States. So he's a guy that I have more confidence in than Lewis. We really haven't seen him do anything outside of winning that one event on the Corn Ferry Tour. But he was good last week, T5. My boy Baroff really likes him, claims the secret European Tour strokes gain stats. Say that he was great last week. I don't trust those, to be honest with you. But
business. Yeah,
yeah, it's super shady. Like, you're telling me the PGA Tour doesn't have strokes gained at a 3-course event, but the European Tour does? I mean, I'm not buying it. No, I don't think I'll go either of these guys. We like Wise, we like Munoz. If you're really just a masochist, you can play Grillo. I mean, there's a lot of plays here, so I don't think I'll be getting to either of the Euro guys.
I'm with you. So I have, as I always say, we have a ton of content in front and behind the paywall. And I do have a betting article that kind of focuses on a couple of things. And I actually took a matchup, I'll just say it, HV3 against Tom Lewis this week. Basically even money, and I'm not there on the consistency with Tom Lewis. I don't see it. Now, the upside is always there with him. We saw him come out of nowhere and win a Corn Ferry event. That's how he got status. But week in and week out, I think you get in trouble. I can speak firsthand when you start saying, well, this guy, he could explode. Yeah, they all could. You don't want to be just hoping that you hit lightning in a bottle without any merit. Now, if you think the Euro stuff can translate, then maybe you look. But I would rather pay down to some of the guys kind of in the low sevens that we've seen, recently and have a more experience on tour. I looked at Johnny Vegas. Did you look at him at all? And then, no?
Just because of his name, you thought?
Yeah, Narrative Street, aggressive driver. I wanted to back Watney, but talk about doing it all with the putter last week. My God.
Yeah, that was a tough one. I saw that too, and it seemed, T10, great course history, but like you said, all putter, so that scared me off of him. Boy, no, there's a lot. Can we talk about 5 condoms, Zach Johnson?
Jesus. Sure. You know what? Go ahead with your boy. This guy.
I mean, he's worse than Grillo, like, as far as no upside the last, 2 years. The guy hasn't done anything. T14 at Sanderson Farms is probably, his best finish in 2 years.
Since RSM in 2018. And he's preparing for the new Joker movie because he's Joaquin Phoenix. That guy looks so sick. Talk to me. Go ahead. Convince me. I want to hear this.
I mean, so he was T14 Sanderson Farms. The ball strike 4.5 with the ball striking. That was good. He missed the cut at the Greenbrier. He still gained 2 strokes with the ball striking there. So, I mean, in the 6 rounds he's played, ball striking is very good. I've already mentioned the John Deere link, which isn't – the leaderboards don't line up. There's not a lot of guys that have played well at both events, but I just think the courses are somewhat similar in being par 71, birdie fest, bent grass greens, favor the shorter hitters somewhat. So yeah, I just like the way it sets up, and I think 7,100 is really cheap for him through 6 rounds. Definitely been better striking the ball than he was last year.
So a couple things. Yes, he is striking it better. This price puts him, as I've mentioned every week, and you're going to hear it a lot, the new cut rules, it's going to be hard, blah, blah, blah. Getting a guy that can make some cuts, even if he's not giving you a ton of placement points, it can help in certain spots. So I get that.
I'm just trying to get my first 6 of 6. All right.
This is what I'm saying. He could help in that area. Now, the course, not to sidetrack, I thought Memorial in terms of leaderboards. I had talked yesterday with Pat Mayo about that, and he brought it up, and I checked and I looked. We've seen guys Bryson and Cantley and several others that have had kind of some success on both. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, I totally see what you're saying with John Deere in terms of layout, but Memorial also, I think there's something to that if you want another.
Yeah, I could see that. I guess my Memorial is a little bit more of a difficult course.
It
I know
is.
it's hard when you do these comparisons. Um,
It
yeah,
could
I
just
mean,
be
you can go
noise.
leaderboard, what lines up with leaderboard, what lines up with setup. Like I said, the leaderboards of the John Deere in this event don't really line up, but um, yeah, I mean, there seems to be some crossover with Memorial, at least at the top. So.
At the top. So that's, basically that's just a segue for me bringing up Kyle Stanley, who is a guy I would rather play him than Zach Johnson. Now, Kyle Stanley, he is what I alluded to earlier, and I said, with Grillo, it feels like when I get it right, I'm not going to get paid off. Kyle Stanley to me is the complete opposite. He's missed 2 cuts already in the swing season, but my God, I feel like if he can connect, he is the type of guy who can come out of nowhere and get into the mix here. He lost 6 strokes putting at Safeway, gained 5 with the irons. Do you have any interest in him?
I do. Okay. I mean, I definitely saw like you said, I saw the 5 strokes gained approach last week and the 6. I mean, losing 6 strokes in
2 rounds.
That's very impressive. I saw that. Oh, man, I'm conflicted though. I'm somewhat disagree with you. I like Stanley, but I don't know. He seems like there's a lot of question marks. Is the ball striking going to carry over to this week? He's not a guy that's like consistently for the last 5 or 6 or 7 events really gained. And it's like, yes, we can just pencil him in for great approach game. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he came out and was awful with the ball striking. That's within the range of outcomes, in my opinion. Does the putter turn around? And I don't know. Even when we thought he was turning the game around a little bit, like Grillo was like T13, T18. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of risk, and I'm not sure if the reward. I don't feel like the reward is as high maybe as you feel.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely the difference. I think that the reward. So he is. Not all of these have been stellar, but he is pretty consistently gaining tee to green. It's 10 out of the last 12. Kind of looking at it now. Again, some of those haven't been perfect. The putters let him down. He's lost over 6 strokes putting in 3 of the last 9 events, which is just insane. That should never happen. I don't really know how that's possible, but this is a guy. I mean, again, don't base it just on this, but he's been 2nd and 3rd and 6th at Memorial. He's been okay at John Deere, and just again, he's a winner on tour, multiple, I believe twice, 2-time winner on tour. Yeah. Someone who I believe still has some upside, and at flat 7, I'm willing to bank. It's a couple miscuts, especially one when you lose 6 strokes putting, you're going to get cut. That's just how that works. I can confirm that. So,
I mean, I don't know. There's a guy cheaper than him that I think has just as good a chance of gaining strokes ball striking, and I think he's safer and has probably the same upside. And we'll get to him maybe in the mid 6s, but I don't know. It's very dicey with Stanley.
So we're going to dive into the 6s, but I want to mention one last guy, and you probably didn't look at this guy because he's not your style. Lanto Griffin is the best putter maybe I've ever seen. This guy is he gains actually 5 strokes every week putting. Now he's rattled off 3 straight top 20s, but that's all he does is putt. Did you look at him at all?
I did not. He didn't pop in the ball striking, Tim's ball striking model.
No, he barely gains anything ball striking. He's gained 5.1, 7.8, 4.2 with the putter in the last 3 weeks.
Is he a historically good putter? I'm going to try and find this while we.
No, not really. I don't think so. I mean, it looks like he can get hot putting. I see some really good, but I see a lot of not so nice putters. Where Denny McCarthy is the other insane putter, who also now, unlike Denny McCarthy, I think is like a truly elite putter. So,
and I mean, this is definitely a course where having a hot putter is going to help. I mean, that helps every week, but like we said at the top, if you're going to get to 22 under, you're going
to make some. So before we dive in, I do want to say, as I say every single week, chat, we like you hanging out with us. If you can hit the like button, and if you want to hang out with us more and join Awesemo Plus, we'd love to have you. Ton of different packages out there for golf, for NFL, for NBA coming up. Fast Eddie Fear and the entire crew doing all their good stuff, projections, everything you could imagine with the tools. You can use the promo code JazzRaz, 50% off your first month. Or, we have a ton of different packages. Like I said, we'd love to get you into Slack for Tim's, AMAs that run 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. each and every day, after dark style. But
I like to go through and repost all of Grillo's shot tracker.
yep, and examine it just one by one.
Shot one to the fairway, and we can break it all down.
Good times. So we'll take the 6K range, as a whole, but I will just say this is where chat wants to start, and I have a feeling it might be where you want to start. Is it Doc Redman?
It is Doc Redman.
That is clamoring for some Doc Redman talk.
I think, to me, I feel more confident that Redman is going to gain significant amount of strokes with the ball striking over Kyle Stanley. The putting has been bad. I mean, I'm just a glutton for punishment with these guys.
You really are.
Last week he was okay. Game 2 with the ball striking, missed the cut on the number. He had a chance to make it a lot like Grillo, just couldn't birdie the par fives coming down the stretch there. But I mean, he gained 6 at the Greenbrier. He gained 4 at Sanderson Farm. He gained 2 last week. I mean, 3 events, really good ball striking. The price is very nice. We saw him contend and compete in stronger fields last year. He was decent at the Open Championship, almost won. I think it was either the 3M or the Rocket Mortgage. Another birdie fest on bent grass greens. I think I just like the price. I like the $500 savings if we're going to compare him to Stanley. And like I said, I just feel more confident that he's actually going to gain with the ball striking. I just don't know what to expect at him. I don't know if we need to go this low. There's a lot of plays in the mid sevens that I like, but if you're going stars and scrubs, he's a guy that I really like.
The one thing, and again, we're going to see Robbie Shelton is another, but there is a chance, again, when we're talking about guys like this, I try to infer what are we going to look back and see with him. Do you think there's a chance that Doc Redman's going to be a guy when we get into the South, when we get to Wells Fargo, when we get to the Florida swing, where it's like all systems go, but he might struggle maybe on the West Coast and some of these other tracks?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's completely possible. That's why I thought Sanderson Farms was really the place for him, and he was decent with the ball striking, not great with the putter. Bent grass is a concern. West Coast is somewhat of a concern, but I think the price is nice, and the consistent ball striking is really nice.
Yeah. What about Harry Higgs?
Yes, I like Harry Higgs as well.
Okay. Bounced back nicely, right?
Yeah, he bounced back very nicely. So now he's kind of he sandwiched a miscut in between 2, really nice outings where the ball striking was good. He was T23 last week, gained 3.9. He was T19 at the Greenbrier, where he gained 4.4. And he was one of those guys when we were breaking down the Greenbrier and you looked at guys coming off the Korn Ferry Tour who came in with really consistent form and a lot of good finishes at the end of the year. And he's carried that over this year. 2 of his 3 starts have been very good. I think it's another good price. Maybe he must be a better putter than Doc Redman. So
that may or may not be saying much.
And there's a guy in our Slack that, I think he grew up with him.
See, we got people on people in Slack. You see, we got that inside information.
Some guy was touting Harry Higgs, and he played well last week.
Good. Smart. We need to get these people on the show. I know we were kind of joking around before, because it's true, he's found form in his twilight years here. Do you have any interest in Cameron Percy, who is just talking about striking it lights out?
Swiping the ball.
Just insane inferno irons and pairing it up with good putting. Just fantastic right now.
I just blocked him off of my spreadsheet. No, I just don't trust these guys that are 46-year-old journeymen who just all of a sudden catch fire. I mean, we see it happen from time to time where old crappy golfers play a couple good weeks, and I just think this is kind of like his couple good weeks that he's going to have. I don't expect this to keep up. I mean, we have a really, really long we've seen Cameron Percy for years and years, and we just know he's not good. And I don't believe that he's really turned some corner. It's nice. The ball striking's been really nice. He's been playing great. But it's just hard for me to think that this guy, this journeyman, has all of a sudden found something. I mean, at 7K, you don't need a ton, but I don't think I could live with myself if I clicked Cameron.
I nominate him for the Kelly Craft Award this week, which is the maybe don't chase. And again, maybe he's found something, but I'm just looking back a couple times in 2017, 12th at John Deere, 12th at Barbasol, 70th, miscut, 34th, 70th. Then you go even further back at a stretch, same kind of thing. 10th at Byron Nelson, 18th at St. Jude, then 54th, 60th, 62nd. Now, again, I'm cherry picking things where he had 2 good tournaments and then he played bad. It's not automatic, but let's not think that Cameron Percy has suddenly become just this premier ball striker. If he has, I'm going to have to live with fading him for a while. I'm 100% more apt to take some of these newcomers from the Corn Ferry who are much younger, and maybe we just don't know, like Harry Higgs, how talented he might be.
Yeah, I mean, at 45 years old, it's really, really difficult to think that all of a sudden he's going to start playing golf at a very high level.
Couple things. We got a question from chat. We'll just recap it because we have a couple minutes. Is Koepka too chalky? Not at all. I don't think he's going to be that popular up top. He's going to be owned because they all are up there, but don't feel uncomfortable about starting there. And then I do want to ask, well, I got 2 guys. One last guy, and this is your boy. Did you look? He loses off the tee consistently. Mark Hubbard playing okay. A 10th at Greenbrier, miscut at Sanderson, 13th at Safeway. Pretty good irons, though, at, in a mid 6K range.
Oh, I don't know if I can get there.
Okay. I mean,
I love what is it? 6,400, huh?
Not bad.
Yeah. So the approach, the off the tee game
it's a problem.
It is a problem. And just like we said, where if you're great off the tee, it can make up for bad approaches. Being great on approach, you lose a lot of it when you can gain strokes and still not be that close to the hole, I guess is what I'm trying to say. If you hit a terrible tee shot, you can gain a ton of strokes on approach and really never be giving yourself great looks at birdie, just because you're putting yourself in a hole off the tee. Like I said, I would much rather play Redmond or Higgs in this price range.
Couple more, and then we will bounce on out of here. And chat brought this up because this is why we pay them the big bucks. The Chinese bad boy, Xingzun Zhang, 7th at Safeway, gained across the board. What say you? At a ridiculously low price tag, once again, 6,400.
Yeah, he's been good. The numbers have been good this year. I just don't know that much about him coming into this year. I honestly don't know too much.
He cheated, apparently. That's all I know, is he was thrown off the Chinese tour for repeated.
Good.
Him and Biokim having trouble lately.
He's probably cheating now, and that's why he's playing so well. But I'm all for it. Whatever gets the job done.
66 is all we care about.
Yeah. What? Okay. Have you heard this Kurt Kitayama? Have you heard this?
Okay, so I play a lot of Euro.
I need your opinion on this guy.
So he's an American who plays over in Europe. He's won some tournaments over there. I actually don't mind it. And normally I'm not. So I want to make clear, a lot of times we get a new guy, Akshay Bhatia or some of these other guys, and it's like they're going to be the next big thing. And I rarely play them because I like to wait and see. With the Euro guys, this guy is seasoned. He's just playing against inferior competition. Now, he played in the Puerto Rico Open a couple years ago, and he played fine. That's one tournament. Other than that, hasn't done much. I think if you're making enough lineups and you're going stars and scrubs, you want to consider him because I like to target guys that have been in the heat of competition. He's won on the European Tour. I think he can hang in. We'll wait and see. I don't think this is a guy that's going to become like a staple of the PGA Tour by any stretch, but you're talking about almost the min price. So give me someone who's been week in and week out at least getting in the mix over, like Sepp Straka has lost his form pretty badly here. Some of these other guys where I'm not really looking to try to jump on and hope that I hit lightning in a bottle. I'd rather take a blind stab at someone who's maybe playing a little better.
So do you know where he went to school?
I don't.
UNLV. See,
Oh
I
boy.
think that's why. I mean, I've seen a lot of like the betting. Ben Coley, Steve Rawlings, the betting guys have been on him. So yeah, and he's played good the last two events. I think he played the BMW PGA, and then the start prior to that, I think was the KLM Open, and he was like T14 and
Hmm.
T21.
He loves
Uh,
those Dutch. Yeah, and I've always said, I've always maintained, I think it's better to be in a Sunday final pairing and beating up and maybe playing against inferior competition and being over here and getting blasted and missing 6 cuts in a row and not playing weekends. It's just a different mentality. He is priced with Bill Haas. That's true, chat. But Bill Haas has lost 9 strokes putting over 2 events, and that is very bad. Don't
yeah, I mean, you can't go there. Bill
no.
Haas is terrible. Just what you need, and when you need to get to 22 under is a guy that literally can't make a birdie.
Okay. Last 2 guys, and then we're actually leaving. Rob Oppenheim from chat. No, that's a no for me. I just don't think it's necessary. I guess you could make a case, but
Guy from chat, I want to know what gets you on Rob Oppenheim.
yeah, I don't. That's the thing. It just seems unnecessary. He loses off the tee. The last guy, and like I said, I will be back with Jason Roslin tomorrow night. Chat. We hope you're there. 9 p.m. EST, doing our thing. You got to welcome back Graham Dillette, right? 2-year hiatus.
I mean, we're just getting all the studs from 2012 back. We got Bo Van Pelt, who made the cut last week. Congratulations, Bo Van Pelt. We got Graham Dillette, who hasn't played in 2 years. Yeah, it's nice. Good for him. I mean, I don't even, was it his back? I don't even remember what was injured on him. It's been so long.
Um,
Wrist, shoulder? I have no clue.
no, he had the he had the exact as again, I'm quoting Pat Mayo. He had the exact same surgery as Tiger, but he didn't have access to those super doctors apparently. So we'll have to wait and see. But it's good to see him back. I hope he hits the ground running. Uh, and yeah, like I said, we will see. But like I said, chat, we're gonna get out of here. Good stuff. Appreciate everyone stopping. And again, if you can hit the like button, if you have any questions, if we miss someone, especially if they're really egregious, put it to Twitter so we have to put it out there, or hop in chat and you can publicly shame us. That's what we really enjoy the most. But I will be back, as I said, with Jason Roslin. We'll have all questions on weather, lineup construction, and all that good stuff for another good swing season tournament. So we're going to get out of here. Good luck, everyone. And we will see you next week for another PGA event.